What moment in an argument made you realize this person is an idiot and there is no winning scenario? An old roommate of mine was trying to say we were blackmailing her when we were asking her to take out her trash, etc. She said watch the Lizzie McGuire movie, there's blackmail in there, and it's obvious that's what you're doing to me. I believe it goes without saying that she never cleaned up after herself, nor did she understand that movie. When I was arguing with someone about why milk doesn't go in first when making a cup of tea, a very English debate, and his argument was, when you add boiling water to cold milk, you're warming it up. But when you add cold milk to boiling water, you're cooling it down, and I don't want cold tea. I tried to explain how the end temperature will be exactly the same regardless, but he was already celebrating his self-awarded victory. Someone who is dating my roommate considers herself to be environmentally conscious. She claimed that napkins were bad for the environment and they increase one's carbon footprint. She ranted about it to me in my own home, even though I don't even buy napkins. Maybe a week or so later, she noticed I use a reusable coffee filter and berated me for not using disposable paper filters. I told her that using a reusable filter cuts down on the amount of waste that we produce when brewing coffee, so not only do I not contribute to filling up landfills with paper filters, but I also save money from not buying them in the first place and just cleaning the plastic one. She told me that, since paper filters are biodegradable, there is no reason for me to refrain from using them. But napkins are made of paper. Napkins are made of paper. She literally just wanted stand on a soapbox and hear herself talk. She derives pleasure from telling others that they are wrong, regardless of whether or not they are actually wrong. There is no winning an argument with her. A co-worker went on a rant about how all teachers are lazy and only work from 8 to 3 while taking loads of holiday time while doing minimal work. I come from a family of teachers, so I could see the time put in at home. The lost weekends, the days of doing work till 7 PM, the last 2 weeks of every summer holiday spent in school prepping the classroom for the next year, buying materials out of their own pocket because the school budget wouldn't cover it. My co-worker's response: well, I'm a parent, so I know more about it than you do. I nearly flipped my fucking lid. A discussion with someone about the process of getting a license. Obviously they didn't have one and didn't believe that you had to do a 5-hour driving class to get one. The moment came when they tried the whole you can't always believe stuff from the internet, and we are just like A, you jump on pretty much any conspiracy theory you find on the internet, and B, we are on the fucking DMV's website. They seriously still didn't believe it and tried to go the whole you gotta use Google to win arguments route. We had a new assistant at work who was not fitting in with the team. I sat her down and talked to her about expectations and reviewed the responsibilities of the position several times. In one last effort to help her, I thought I'd see which parts of the job she liked. I asked her, what skill do you think is your strongest skill? And she said, delegating. That whole please provide proof of every point you've made using sources I approve of thing, when they've shown you made up shit from nonsense sources, and then add the wait. Yeah, do your own homework and you're right, you will wait forever. The airlock is that way. When she kept trying to change the subject, every time she realized she was wrong, I stayed with verifiable facts. She went all over the map, bringing up shit I did like 5 years ago. You can't turn right at this red light. The sign says so right there. Well, you burnt that craft dinner that one time. You didn't read those instructions, did you? Who the hell burns craft dinner? You can't turn right at this red light. The sign says so right there. He had an aversion to Stephen King. Thought Stephen King only wrote gory trash with no redeeming value. That everyone who reads Stephen King had mental issues. And his favorite movie was The Shawshank Redemption. Even after I showed the credits both on IMDb and Wikipedia, he refused to believe that degenerate Stephen King was in any way, shape, or form involved with his dearly beloved film. My best friend knows I'm headed into the military, and he keeps saying, have fun in the army. I tell him I'm enlisted to the Navy. I know, isn't the Navy part of the army? We had a back and forth argument that the Navy is part of the military and army is a separate branch, but he insists that the word army and military have the same meaning. When my ex-girlfriend would get drunk and bring up something I had no idea was an issue, me not being emotional enough, spending too much time playing video games, etc. I quickly realized she didn't want to actually discuss or hear what I had to say. She just wanted to freak out and tell me how bad of a person I was. When my SIL told me that liberals in power, last administration, were using cell towers to burn the souls of the feet of registered Republican voters, like cell towers were some sort of sci-fi weaponry that could tap into the voting database and then laser target individuals. When I told her this was science fiction, she insisted it had happened to her. Or, same SIL tried to convince me that during his first term in office, Obama had visited a hospital where a series of late-term abortions had failed, in that the babies were born alive. She said that doctors had put the babies into a supply closet to wait for them to die, and that Obama had stood guard at the door. Just, what do you say to that? Sometimes the idiocy is so strong that you just have to not bother making an effort as an act of self-preservation. The concept of free will is an illusion that the Jews that run the internet and the world have created. How do you know? That sounds a bit fishy, man. I read about it online. I have found the truth. Can you send me those links? No, you have to find the truth yourself. It also did not help to point out that the Jews that apparently ran the internet must have known their secret was out on their internet. This friend of mine was always late when we wanted to hang out. Sometimes she even cancelled last minute, 10 minutes before the time we were supposed to meet. I once made a joke saying we all knew she was the worst when having to meet her because she was so unorganized and cancelled so many events. A few days before she was leaving for college we were meant to meet, so I arrived late knowing she was going to be anyway. Waited for her for about an hour or so, but it was the last day I could meet with her, so I didn't mind that much, and I asked a friend to wait with me. I received a message 1.5 hours later saying, "I'm not coming," and don't even bother me asking why. I don't have to justify when I arrive later. That day I realized she wasn't worth it, because yes, I deserve an explanation when waiting you for almost 2 hours. I'm not sure what the exact issue was, but the guy asked me about whether or not I knew why something was done in the way it was done. Like, what the reasoning for the method was. And I knew the answer. He presented me his own answer, which relied on certain things that were not very accurate, and you could tell that he worked on that theory a while, and this must have been the reason. I debunked it very quickly and gave him the actual reasoning. You could see that he understood it, but didn't want to throw his well-crafted theory away like trash. So he tried to argue his theory and the actual reasoning somehow. It got really weird. Finally I looked it up on my phone, and he still thought that his theory must also have played a role, which was just wrong. I had a similar situation just yesterday with the same person. Was about basically how weather moves, as he has no scientific background whatsoever, which he said, and which was the reason he asked for an answer. I wasn't that sure, but I did my best in providing a physically accurate answer based on the data we had. He started arguing about it and brought on his own theory again. This time it wasn't crafted over years of thinking about it, but on the spot. Again, he stated himself that he has no idea. How can you argue about something if you say and know you don't know anything about it? This literally happened yesterday, so is still fresh in my mind. A streamer said that she would rather have a competitive even match that she eventually loses than an easy win where there was no competition at all. I agreed and added on, admittedly rather rudely, that people who have the thought process that wins are all that matters were just people with no self-confidence who need to win so they can feel like they are good at something, which is unhealthy, and those sorts of people should reevaluate why they play games in the first place. One guy had the argument that winning is always fun, even if it's super easy, and I said that you would get bored of the game very quickly if you easily won every single game, and even if you didn't, you should just play vs bots on the easiest difficulty. They then said playing vs bots isn't fun, and when I asked why, they said because it's too easy. So you do care about a challenge? No, I still just want to win, and nothing else matters. Okay, so why is it not as fun playing vs bots? Because I like beating other players. So you like feeling better than other people? No, it's so you can play vs better players. And Why would you want to play vs better players? Here is where I was thinking, okay, he's backed into a corner, so he has to either say, because even competitive matches are more fun, or to make me feel better about myself. And he just said, so I can beat them. It was the point where I realized that this guy either realized the flaw in his argument and doubled down because he didn't want to admit it, or was just so fucking stupid that it was like the SpongeBob Patrick meme where he was doing mental gymnastics in order to defend his own point. He also said I was a jackass for trolling in competitive games, and I said that no, I always play seriously to win in rank modes, but winning is a bonus. The game itself is the fun part.